Carolyn and the children are away. They went on a vacation. And it ends up Carolyn and my children are staying with this guy, living with this guy in Colorado. We have a few conversations on the telephone. I get to say hello to Crystal and Gina. Then we decide to get back together. Carolyn's got something else though. She's making plans, or her parents are helping her make plans, one or the other. She goes back to Indiana first. Her mom and dad buy her a new car, and she drives down to Florida from Indiana. We meet at a rest stop in Georgia. I'm pretty sure somewhere in Georgia we meet. So good to see the children again. Good to I was a little bit disappointed in the way that the children were in the car. It didn't look like they were being cared for that appropriately, so I was a little bit disappointed. Okay, so I believe my mom went up with me. My mom drives my car or my vehicle. No, her car, I don't remember. And well, I don't remember that. Okay, so we get back down to Orlando, Florida. Last time that we were together as a family. The very last time. Let's see, we get back together. We're back in the mobile home in Orlando, Florida, at my mom's mobile home, staying there. My mom is pretty much absent as much as she can be. She can't handle a lot of difficulties like that. My mom does get a chance to, put curlers in Crystal's hair and get a chance to be with the children. She's not as helpful as she could have been, I suppose. Anyway, during this time, it's about 5 or 6 weeks it is. Only for Majestic Marble. I may have also been working with Carpet Depot. Larry Shasser was the guy's name that was my boss. I was a salesperson, but I also developed they're one of the first professional brochures for their company. I took photographs of all the employees and took some photo shots from some other magazines and so forth, put everything together and made a brochure for them. Also, I helped to put together helped with some of the design work on their showroom in North Orlando, Longwood area. Somebody else took credit for that. A year and a half later, I stopped by to see how everything was. But I'm the one who did quite some of took care of the wallpaper and which wallpaper went where, and what display and so forth. I really wasn't much of a good salesman, so Carolyn, we were together for these few things. And I'm going to have to be repeating a few things on this. This is really material here if anybody really wants to try to evaluate whether or not a person is actually speaking the truth or not. Because I'm speaking without notes and so forth, just speaking from my memory of these things being as very truthful. Carolyn's, our time getting back together again. Carolyn was in Colorado with the children. We talked over the phone. I got a chance to say hello to the children a couple of times. Her boyfriend threatened me from Colorado a little bit over the phone. But anyway, Carolyn and I decided to get back together. She did come down to Florida first, back to her parents in Fort Wayne, Indiana, first with the children. Then they bought her a new car. Also, she did something else. I found out that she, or her family, her parents helped her file for a divorce while she was up there. Now she comes down, drives down. My mom and I go up to meet her at the rest stop in the Georgia, South Georgia area. I believe it is, probably Atlanta area. It's good to, I'm very happy to see the children back and to try to make things work with Carolyn. I'm just a little bit disappointed because of the way that Phil or Gina, I can't remember exactly the condition, but they weren't traveling in the best of condition. Okay, they could have been better, a lot better. Crystal or Gina had a dirty diaper, and it looked like it had been dirty for a little while. So I was kind of disappointed in seeing that, but I'm gonna make it work somehow. I'm gonna put another effort. So she's back down in Orlando, and we're back at the mobile home. My mom's mobile. My mom can't handle this kind of stuff, difficult like this. So she disappeared as much as possible. Although she does spend some good time with Crystal and Gina. And I can remember the time that Mother put curlers in Crystal's hair. I got a pitch shoulders when one day I was making fruits, and she had a fruit smoothie in her hands and sitting on my shoulders. One thing I can remember. We went to the tennis course once as a family and played a little bit of tennis. Anyway, then we went to the International Drive area where they have the resort-related stuff for tourists, things like that, and we got in the bumper cars. Gina rode with me in the bumper cars, and Crystal rode with Carolyn. Gina rode with me because Gina was more fragile, and I wanted to make sure that she was protected. So, and we had a good time. I thought things were going pretty well, as a family. Carolyn had some stipulation and demand on me that she had to have a 3-bedroom house and all new furniture, and I wonder where that was going to come from. I'm trying to, anyway. I'm working for Majestic Marble. Larry Schatzer is my direct boss. He's over sales department. I'm working as a salesman, and also I did a advertising brochure using my 35mm camera. I took some photos of the cultured marble plant that he had and the employees and so forth, and put other specs together for a brochure, and also helped finishing the showroom up in Longwood, Florida, picking out wallpaper for the areas, for the different bath installations that we had for display. Okay. One day, I think Carolyn something's wrong, but my mom warns me that Carolyn's getting ready to leave, and I tell my mom, I said, "Mom, we're Jehovah Witnesses. We don't just do that, She's not just going to leave." And I don't know, a couple days later, 3 or 4 days later, maybe, it was a day after I felt some funny about Carolyn, and I think she was trying to get me into another fight, physical fight. And I told Carolyn, I said, "It's over with, Carolyn. Whatever you got, I'm gonna handle it. It's all over." It might have been the next day or two, the day of the memorial, that special day, Jehovah's Witnesses hold in remembrance of Christ's resurrection. It was this day that I'm heading to work, and Carolyn says, "Can you leave the camera at home, the 35mm camera?" And I go like, "Well, I might need it for something, Yeah, well, can you just leave it at home today, Like, okay, I'll leave it at home. So I'm at home. When I get home from work, nobody's home. All the clothes are packed up. Certain of the things are missing out of the house, and I'm like, she must have left. She took the children and took off. During this 5 or 6 weeks that we were together, no physical fight, no real arguments of any kind. But after she left, a couple days later, I found the phone bill. Almost $800 phone bill. Okay, this is 1985, 1986. 1985, 1986 area. Almost $800 phone bill. Okay. Now, that doesn't happen by accident. That was deliberate. That was deliberate. She wanted to create a financial hardship for me, to make it difficult for me to do things I needed to do. I tried to file for custody of children. I was told by the court and the judge that the children were out of state. They couldn't do anything. I found that Carolyn is pressing for an uncontested divorce, full custody of the children. So as soon as hearing very shortly, I make my way up. My mom comes with me, and I make my way up to be at that court hearing. And I tell them, in no way whatsoever do I agree with her having full custody. And so I think Carolyn is not exactly all there, and I'm not going to agree with this divorce. I know that she can get the divorce whether or not I agree with it or not, but I'm not going to go along with it. I'm not in agreement with this divorce proceeding. Okay, I'm not in agreement to her getting full custody. Okay, and I had spent hours at the library, and I had a whole bunch of books with me about psychological problems and so forth that I thought that Carolyn was suffering from her loss as an infant and child before she was adopted. As I understand, she was found in the closet at about age 2 or 1.5 and left to die. And I think that whatever speakings that I gave to Crystal, that this previous life that she had as an infant, as a very young baby, 6 months or a year old or a half or whatever. When I ever seen Crystal, maybe certain things came up in her mind about her that's what really bothered her, and she was, I don't know. I never severely spanked Crystal, and I never had spanked Gina on occasion for it that I saw. And Gina, and after Gina was born, Crystal, Carolyn and I were mostly separate most of the time. I really didn't, still wondering kind of what's going on, Am I causing Carolyn all these problems? Am I so crazy or so unbalanced that I'm causing Carolyn to have all these difficulties, and that's the situation? Or is it Carolyn, who is it really? I mean, I'm really kind of mind. But anyway, things are better when she's down this last time, except that she leaves. They have the memorial. It's very sad. I still have the children's tennis shoes that where she left. I have their certificates also. They're the original birth certificates. Okay. So she leaves. She files for full custody, uncontested divorce, so forth. So I get up there to the court in Fort Wayne, Indiana, to fight that. I ended up taking a bus up there also, as it's later, and I had to quit my job with Majestic Marble, and I plan on living there for a while to visit with children and see what was going on, see what the matter was up there. Carolyn got full custody at the discretion of her parents. Okay? I got visitation at the discretion of her parents. Whatever her parents would set be the law. So there was not definite in the divorce at all. I moved up there, took a bus up there, stayed up there for a while, slept in the park, got a job at a restaurant, Richard's restaurant, worked as a cook, and they asked me where I lived. I told them I lived in the park. They go like, oh, you don't want to tell us where you really live? I go like, in the park. Anyway, so I don't know how long I survived. I slept in a box, for a few days, maybe a week. I don't know exactly. Then I got this garage apartment and rented it for a week or so. And then I just decided, it really wasn't the best situation to be up there. I decided to go back down to Florida, get my feet on the ground, save up some money and do what I can, and then look back to this matter and see what I can do. So I don't want to borrow any more money. I mean, I'm already drained out already. I hitchhiked from Fort Wayne, Indiana down to Florida. And that's really unsafe. A couple unsavory characters picked me up. He even had Jesus Christ pick me up. At least he said he was Jesus Christ, and I had really a Savior to my own characters pick me up. Made my way to Jacksonville, Florida, met up with Henry McWright that I had made friends with in Gainesville, Florida. He was now in Jacksonville. Bus ticket the rest of the way down to Orlando. So I went back and worked with Majestic Marble and for a while, but I wasn't really a good salesman. So I decided to quit that job and went into the wallpaper business and started hanging wallpaper. I put an ad in the Yellow Pages for interior designer. Did some interior, a little bit of interior design work, or design related, rather than hanging wallpaper. Selling a little bit of wallpaper. Also from one of the stores that I was working with, getting books, wall books from. Developed a relationship with Jones & Clayton Construction, doing a lot of large homes, and Gallimore Homes, also, doing a lot of large homes. Met this dental hygienist named Cindy, and I was very much attracted to her and found her a nice girl. Moved in with her, and then we got a duplex, a two-bedroom duplex. I guess we got it together. I think I got it together, and she moved in with me there. Yeah, that's the way it was. I was disfellowshipped because I was living with her, not being married. Okay. I separated from her because I was still wanting to be a Jehovah's Witness. So, and I didn't want, I didn't want her to marry me and become a Jehovah's Witness because I was one of Jehovah's Witnesses. I wanted to see what she would do, on her own. And I got an apartment in Claremont, Florida, two-bedroom apartment. I always wanted to make sure that I had a place for the children, just in case something happened. The children could come home to live with me as their father, as their legitimate person that they should be living with. And of course, I should have a say in what takes place in a child's life. So I was in Claremont for a while. Then I found a house a little bit closer to Orlando where all my work was, and I was at Ocoee, just west of Orlando. A three-bedroom house with a backyard, 3 blocks from the elementary school. Sometime while I was in, I think it's when I had my duplex, and just about time I was moving to Claremont. 13 months after a divorce, I hired a private investigator to find out what all was going on in Fort Wayne, Indiana, find out exactly where my life was and what was going on with the children. I find out that my ex-wife was remarried about, 6 months, 7 months after our divorce. The children in a foster home. The people that, I believe that my ex-wife started going to the Church of Christ, and we're using these people also from the Church of Christ to babysit. Okay, because the babysitters, I'm pretty sure, are United Church of Christ people. So my ex-wife is leaving the children, 1 or 2 children, to Frese, Phyllis and Norman Frese, military people at this, Air Force, they're probably both military. So she left them with, leaves 1 or 2 child with them a day or 2 or a week at a time, exactly. And at times, one child would be with the grandparents for a week at a time. Her new husband, I understand, couldn't really handle the children too well. And they're trying to work the children into their relationship, as I understand. The babysitter, the Church of Christ people, Mormon, Mr. Frese and Phyllis Frese. Surely they must have seen that children's mother, Carolyn, has serious problems. They never contacted me to tell me what's going on. Why? I'm sure it relates to bigotry. Pure and downright bigotry. These people are Church of Christ. They know I'm one of Jehovah's Witnesses. Okay? And I guess my ex-wife is going to the Church of Christ. So there's the, we're gonna adopt these children, get these children out of that Jehovah's Witness religion. We're not gonna contact their dad. If we contact their dad, the possibility is he might get the children. You don't think those kind of thoughts were going into these people's minds? They were exploiting my children. The emotional development of my children, they were exploiting at a very tender young age. They were taking advantage of a situation. Later I found out, a couple of years later, I found this book on the Church of Christ, United Church of Christ, the directory. And in the back of the directory are a bunch of pages of adoption agencies. The United Church of Christ are very aggressive in finding children to adopt and will exploit any situation that avails itself to them to exploit and take a child out of a family situation and adopt a child. They will exploit that. I found this in the book. It was printed, I don't know, sometime back in 1987 or something. I found the book about 1991 or 1990 is when I found this book. They were exploiting my children. Yes, Mr. Frese, Commander, Air Force Commander, now Air Force Colonel. If you were actually, you spent time with, get to know my ex-wife Carolyn. You didn't know that she's a little bit dingy and crazy. You got to be pretty darn stupid yourself. And this, what kind of people we have? Leaders in our military, leaders in our government. Something very serious to think about. And that took place to make way for them to adopt my children. Things took place that don't normally take place in situations. I traveled back and forth between Orlando, Florida and Lafayette, Indiana, any way that I could. Sometimes I drive. If I got a good price on an airline ticket, I would fly. I had one of my friends from the congregation go to my apartment one day, get my clothes, come pick me up on a job where I'm hanging wallpaper, and take me to the airport so I can make my way up to Lafayette, Indiana to see my children. Fought against this military family, Norman, Mr. Frese, Colonel Frese, and Frese for about years, and DCF, Department of Children and Family Services, for about 3 years. The only thing they had against me is accusation by my ex-wife. That is all. Plus the fact that I admitted that I had spanked Crystal. Yes, I had spanked, but I never severely spanked Crystal. A lot of people do spank their children. There's nothing wrong with it at all. Nothing. Sometimes it's a touch that's needed. Every time I did spank Crystal, I always hugged her and kissed her and made sure that she knew that I loved her. I always told her I loved her. Not that I didn't spank her. I didn't want her to think I spanked her because she was mad, but just that she did something wrong. If I have time for it, I would have to go to Lafayette, Indiana for a psychological evaluation also. Got one done down in Orlando also. Privately, my own. I got one done in Indianapolis, also by Dr. Tenike, which is no longer alive. He supported me and thought the welfare department, DCF, and these people just being totally out of order in what they were doing. I never got more than a 4-hour visit with my children, traveling thousands of miles, over 1,000 miles. Once I got food poisoning on the way up, in my van, and I stopped in Louisville, Kentucky. That's where I ended up. I was trying to go to the hospital, and I called the congregations. I wanted somebody to meet me at the hospital, but they would, because I didn't have the telephone numbers for the congregation or elders in Orlando, Florida, and they would meet me at the hospital. They could not make arrangements for it. So I just stuck it out in my van for another day. But I finally got up there. But I was a few hours late or a day late getting up there. And I was supposed to, so I went to the doctor to document the fact that I was sick, because I was so sick. And I stopped with that.